Hi, welcome to Glow's Kindred Kitchen, and I'm Glow. Well, today I wanted to share with you guys a recipe that I have made through the years, starting probably 40 years ago or so. And it's out of a cookbook called From an Adobe Oven to a Microwave Range. And this book came from Pueblo, Colorado. And in it, this recipe, I have the page marked for us. It's called Frosted Cashew Clusters, and it's by Bev Brill. She's the one that shared this recipe, and it is delicious, and it's quite easy to make. So anyway, I have ran across this recipe in other cookbooks as well, and actually Land of Lakes has a recipe very similar to this online. But anyway, let's go ahead and get started. The first thing we want to do is I need to sift my flour and my leavening stuff. So I have in here 2 cups of all-purpose flour. So I'm going to go ahead, and this thing that I'm putting it into is a sifter. There's all kinds of sifters, but this is an old-timey one. My mother always used a sifter like this. And that's probably one of the reasons I use it. I'm just used to it. And I like it. It works real well. And it calls for 3/4 teaspoon of baking powder. Let me move it so you guys can see. And 3/4 teaspoon of baking soda. And I always keep my baking soda in a little jar like this. And if I'm frying or anything in my kitchen on my stove and cooking with butter, I always have this close by in case the fire started. You would be able to put it out real quick.
Safety first, Miss Glow.
Yeah. And also 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And I do a scant one of that. So all you do is you just rotate this little handle. And some people use the handle like this, just back and forth like that. I've always just rotated it. But whatever is most comfortable for you. The goal here is to get rid of all the clumps of flour and baking powder, baking soda that you might have. And you can see there's a few little balls in there.
Yes.
So I'm going to just take my hand and put it down in here, and that will help too. Otherwise we'll be here for a bit to get rid of that. There, all done. So I'm going to go ahead and put my sifter over here, get it out of the way. So now we have our dry ingredients all ready to go. So the next thing we're going to do is I'm going to wipe up my area here. And we're going to take our bowl here that we're going to put our next ingredients in. And I'll be right back with you because I need to plug in my mixer so that we're ready to go. Well, we're back. I went ahead and I plugged in my mixer, and I'm going to just share with you, speaking from experience with my mother. She had put in the beaters into her mixer as she was plugging it in or else removing it. I'm not really sure which way, but the beaters were on, the mixer was on, and she hurt her hand really bad. So I always put my beaters in before I plug it in, and then when I'm done, I'll unplug it before I remove my beaters. So that's just a little safety thing there. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and crack my egg into a bowl, and that way if you should happen to get some shells, or let's say that egg wasn't right, you could fix it and get a different egg before you have it in your stuff. But that's just another little tip. Because in the past I have broken an egg into whatever I'm going to be mixing up, and it's not a good egg. You know, it could have a lot of blood in it, or you know, something like that, or it just looks funky, and you don't want that. So that's why I always do that, and I always tap it on my counter. So now what we're going to do is we're going to beat the butter, the softened butter. And if you don't have softened butter, you can soften it yourself. It's best to soften it yourself instead of in a microwave. Because if you do it in the microwave, it can get too soft.
It can get liquid.
Yeah, and I'll put a link at the bottom of this video on how to soften butter, just in case you would like to know how to do that. So I'm going to go ahead and show you this. I got this is a half a cup of butter, or 1 stick, and then I have 1 cup of packed brown sugar. And also, you know what, I just thought of this. Last year sometime I did a video on how to make your own brown sugar. So if you don't have brown sugar on hand, it is so easy to make. So I'll put a link there too as well for that. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to beat this brown sugar and this butter together. Probably you want it nice and light and fluffy. So let's go ahead and get started. This will probably take about 4 to 5 minutes. So we'll be back towards the end so you can see what it looks like. Hi, well, it's been 5 minutes, and as you can tell, this is really nice and fluffy now. So now we're going to add the egg. And I'm just going to beat this till it gets mixed up good. And all well incorporated. And see how that is now?
It's good, Miss Cole.
Yep. Just stirring it around a little to get the sides of the bowl clean. There we go. So our next step is we are going to add our sifted flour mixture with the baking soda and the baking powder and the salt. And we're at the same time we're going to be, this is what I use to measure out the 2 cups. And we're going to be alternating with 1/3 of a cup of sour cream. So I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of this flour in. And I'll mix that up. And now I'm going to put a little bit of this sour cream in. So move these out of the way, so we have more room. And we're going to go ahead and mix this together. Go see how it looks.
Looks good, Miss Cole.
So I'm going to continue to mix the flour and the sour cream together, and once we get it done, I'll be back to show you the next step. Well, I have almost everything done here in this bowl as far as the flour and the sour cream going together. You could actually substitute plain yogurt for this, I'm sure, if that's all you had on hand. And I had forgotten to add my 1 teaspoon of real vanilla. And so I'm going to go ahead and put that in. And it's fine to do that with these cookies. There's probably some recipes this would not be okay to do it at the end, but this one will be fine. But the reason I forgot it is I had set it way back here, and I didn't see it. So sorry about that. But we're going to just go ahead and finish mixing this all together. And the dough actually has the consistency now of a cookie dough. when you can hear how the mixer motor is working harder. Okay, so there we go. So I'm going to move this back here because I wanted to show you the next step. Cashews. So we had some cashews in the cabinet from the holidays, and that's what prompted this recipe actually. I saw those in there and I thought we could use some of those for this recipe. And besides, we haven't had this particular recipe in a couple of years and it is so yummy. So these are whole ones. So I chopped this 1 3/4 cups. So I went ahead and chopped these up kind of roughly. Some of them are done more than others. I'm just going to show you how I do the last one. So you just hit it like 3 or 4 times. And look at that. So I have found that when I make these, I like some of the cashews to be chopped up more than others, and this is perfect for that. So you can see how some of the pieces are smaller and some aren't. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in this bowl. And I'm going to unplug this. And let's see here. Trying to recall how each mixer, it seems like, is a little different. I have to push down on that to release these. Just trying to get some of that dough off. I know Richard will want to have some of this.
Of course.
So we'll put those right there. So now what we're going to do is we're going to stir these cashews into the batter. And I like to use my Dutch or Danish whisk, whichever you want to call it. So I'm going to start off with about half of them and stir it up. You can see how quickly this comes together with this whisk, and you wouldn't think by looking at it it would do that. It's just the handiest little kitchen gadget. Put the rest of them in. And I have my oven preheating to 375 degrees. And these only take about 8 to 10 minutes usually to cook. It might take a little longer because I'm going to make them a little bit bigger than the recipe calls for. So that's all there is to it. So here's my scoop. And I like to cook my cookies on a stone. So, well, that cashew thought he was going to get away from the oven, but he's not. So I have a little scoop here. It's a cookie scoop. You can use it for many different things in your kitchen, but it's like an ice cream scoop. There's a little thing in there that goes around, just like an ice cream scoop would be. And I put this on an ungreased cookie sheet, and the stone works perfect. And you want to separate them, you know, about that distance apart. So maybe an inch and a half apart. So anyway, I'm going to continue to put these on here, and I'll be back to show you before I put it in the oven. Well, I got our first cookies on this stone here. There's 10 of them. So I'm going to go ahead and put them in the oven. And like I said, it'll take me around 8 to 10 minutes, and I'll watch them. You want them just lightly brown. So anyway, I'll be back in a little bit. Well, I just took these out of the oven, and it took 11.5 minutes. And I think the reason why is because these are a little bigger than the ones I usually do. When I do them for the holidays, I do make them smaller. And that's because there's so many different types of cookies, and you can have, you know, more of a selection that way. So anyway, we'll be back in a little bit. I'm going to be frosting these with some brown butter frosting, and I'll show you how to do that in just a little bit. Hi, well, all of our cookies have been baked. I got 27 cookies. And to show you the difference, when I make this with the smaller cookies, I get about 4 dozen. So yes, it does make a difference, and that's why it took the 11 to 12 minutes to cook these at 375 degrees, or I should say bake. But anyway, now we're doing the brown butter frosting. So in here I have a stick of butter, which is a 1/2 cup, and I'm melting that on my stove. And this will take about 5 minutes to do. What the goal is it's going to start foaming up as it's cooking here, and it will slightly brown. And you really have to watch it when it's doing this, because if you don't pay attention to it, you can burn your butter, and then you'd have to start all over again. So with this, as that's melting, I'll share with you what else is going to go into this frosting. There's 2½ cups of powdered sugar. We're going to put in 1 teaspoon of vanilla and 3 tablespoons of milk. Or you could use half and half, either one. So anyway, I'll be back as this is continuing to melt, and we'll take a look at it, when it's almost brown. Hi, well, our butter, can you show this, Richard, really well? See how that is starting to foam? That's what you want. And you can see the brownness starting on it. So you can smell it. It smells wonderful. I had turned my burner down to medium-low because my burners, they cook hot. But yeah, can you see in there the brown? Here, let's pour it in here and we can see it. See that brown in there?
It is, yep.
Yep, that's what you want. That is flavor. That's our friend for this frosting. But this has to cool for about 5 minutes before I can continue. So I'll be back in 5 minutes, and then we'll put all the frosting together.
Sounds good, Miss Glow.
Hi, well, our butter's cool, and I wanted to show you what it looks like. See the brownness? It's like a golden.
Looks good, Miss Glow.
Mm-hmm. It gives it a really nice flavor for the cashew cookies. So now what I'm going to do, actually I don't even need that spoon in there, so let's just put that right there. And we're going to put some powdered sugar in here. And there's 2½ cups here. I'm not sure if we're going to need all of it, but I'd rather have it out just in case. It does call for 2½, so we'll see how it goes. So I'm just going to slightly stir this before I start it up. And let me put one of these hot pads under here. That will help the bowl from spinning around as I'm doing this. See that pretty color from the browned butter?
So
It's
pretty,
like
so pretty, Miss Glow.
Yeah, it's kind of like a caramel color.
Yes.
So I'm going to continue to put in the the powdered sugar. I have the 3 tablespoons of the milk there. You could use half and half. And then we're going to be putting in 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So I'm going to go ahead and start mixing, and I'll bring you back just as we're getting close to the end. Hi. Well, I went ahead and I made the frosting, whipped it up on high speed for a good minute or more. And I had to taste it, and it is so good. It has like a caramel brown butter flavor to it. It is just delicious. So anyway, what you do, these cookies are cool here. I'm going to go ahead and put some of this frosting on. And by the way, it took all of the 2½ cups of the frosting. So I just frost them like this.
You mean the frosting on the powdered sugar?
The powdered sugar, thank you. And then I just decorate them with a cashew. So
looks good, Miss
let's
Glow.
do another one.
Why not?
And when I have made these for people, most of the people I've made them for, or served them at a party or something, have never had something like this. And they are so tasty. There's another one.
Looks good.
So anyway, I'm going to continue to frost all of these, and then we'll be back, and then I get to taste one. We'll see you back in a minute. Hi, well, welcome back. I got all the cookies frosted, and as you can see, I decorated the tops with just one cashew. And here's the one I'm going to taste.
Oh, you don't remember this
That's
one.
fine.
So.
The kitchen smells wonderful, I got to tell you.
It does.
The frosting with that brown butter, oh my gosh. Lucy, she's like going crazy over there. She wants some too. Oh, I wish you guys were here. We could sit down and have a cup of coffee or tea and have one of these together. Wouldn't that be fun? I'm going to taste it. Mmm. It's so buttery. And you can taste those cashews in it. I really think it helps when you cut up the cashews a little and have some that are really small and some that are bigger. And then, of course, then that brown butter frosting. Oh. Mmm. I'm sorry making you guys hungry, but this is so good.
Making me hungry.
So anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this. If you're a cashew lover, you're going to love this. Anyway, if you like this, please like and subscribe to our channel. We would really appreciate it. And give me a comment. I'll talk to you later. Bye.